Well, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. A little bit different presentation than what I had planned for today. I'll explain why as I get through my presentation in the first 15, 20 minutes. But what we want to do is we want to help you understand the microbiome. And last week we talked about marketing weight management. And this whole process of understanding the microbiome in relationship to weight management is extremely important to understand. As you can see by my opening slide, if you fix the gut, you fix the problem. And so one of the things that we want to do in today's presentation is give you an understanding of the microbiome, help you understand some key points to fixing the microbiome, and then we'll begin to look at some of the potential resources that you have available to you if you decide that you want to market this area. So with that said, let's begin to understand that your microbiome is basically the bacteria and microorganisms that help you process the food that you eat. You have multiple microbiomes on your body. You have microbiome in your mouth, you have a microbiome on your skin, you have a microbiome in your gut area. And we're going to be looking at the microbiome in the gut. So it's going to be the bacteria and these microorganisms that help you process your food. You could not process your food properly without these bacteria and microorganisms. And so while an unhealthy diet and a sedentary lifestyle, and perhaps some people's genetic makeups contribute to their battle of the bulge, as science has investigated this area of the microbiome, their research shows that it's not a human genetic issue. Rather, it's a microbiome issue. So that people who think that they're just going to be fat forever, it has more to do with the food choices that they're making that feed the bad bacteria that make up this microbiome. Now, to help you better understand this, let's talk a little bit about DNA. DNA are the genes or the building blocks of your life. And those genes, that DNA sequence, carries the genetic instructions that shape and form every living thing. In the entire human genome, there are 22,000 genes. When you look at just the microbiome in your human gut, in your gut area, there are 3.3 million genes in the human gut microbiome. So you as an individual are made up of 22,000 genes. If you took the microbiome that's just in your gut, the wide variety of flora of bacteria and microorganisms, there are 3.3 million genes. Huge. And it is that diversity in the gut microbiome that plays a significant role in determining your overall health and wellness. We're not going to talk about this other than me to mention this, that 70 to 80% of your immune system is determined by your microbiome. So if your gut microbiome is unhealthy, then your immune system is going to be unhealthy. If your gut microbiome is healthy, then your immune system is going to be much more healthy than it was if it was, if you're, again, having the wrong microbiome in that abdominal area. So this whole area of the gut microbiome is huge, not just to weight management, but also to your immune health and everything else that has to do with you. And so your microbiome has a powerful influence on your food choices. Many times the foods you crave have very little to do with what you want. Rather, it's your microbiome that's influencing your food choices. So that craving for the sweets, it's your microbiome that's driving that. Craving for the carbohydrates, it's your microbiome that's driving that. So they want the food that's going to make them happy, not you. They got to make sure that you survive, that you keep living, because they're dependent upon you making those choices. But they're going to influence you to make those choices of things that you feel that, again, when I used to do weight management counseling for people, the aspect of cravings was a big issue. And at that time, I didn't know anything about the microbiome. Now that I know about the microbiome, the key is switching that microbiome. So we go back to this slide that I showed you. That microbiome in your gut is huge in influencing the decisions that you make from the food choices that you bring into your body. And so how do we know this to be true? Well, there's a famous study that was done on identical twins, and each twin has the same genetic makeup. However, one twin was overweight and the other twin was lean. So how can that be? So they took the microbiome of the overweight twin, put it into recipient mice. They did the same thing with the microbiome from the lean twin. And then what they found is they gave those mice the same exercise routine and the same eating choices. And what they found is that the mice that had the microbiome of the lean twin, those mice stayed lean, whereas the microbiome that were in the host mice of the overweight twin, those mice gained body fat and gained weight. So again, genetic makeup of the twins are the same. One's fat, one's skinny. Took the microbiome from each of them, put them into host mice, gave those mice the same food choices and the same exercise choices. And what they found was that the microbiome from the lean twin kept the mice lean, and the microbiome from the overweight twin caused those mice to gain weight and body fat. And as they began to look at the microbiome of these two communities, what they found is that for the overweight twin, the microbiome was dominated by what are called firmicutes, whereas the microbiome community of the lean twin was dominated by what are called bacteroidetes. So most studies now show that the higher your bacteroidetes compared to your firmicutes, the leaner you will be. And there are a couple triggers that increase these firmicutes over bacteroidetes. So trigger number one is a high intake of omega-6 fatty acids from vegetable oils. Most processed foods use some form of vegetable oil for shelf stability. That favors the firmicutes. Trigger number two, animal protein creates less diversity in the microbial community. That then allows the firmicutes to dominate. Sugar and processed carbohydrates like wheat are fuel for firmicutes, which again allows them to dominate your abdominal microbiome. And then stress triggers, David and I were talking about, we're finally maybe getting out of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. There's been a lot of stress over the last 2 years with having to stay inside, having to wear masks, having to do social distancing, having to do remote learning for kids. There's so many different stress triggers that have happened in the last 2 years that releases adrenal hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which lowers the bacteroidetes. So it doesn't favor firmicutes, but it lowers bacteroidetes, which then allows the firmicutes to dominate. Now, there's also plenty of studies that show that the standard American diet, which is sugary drinks, highly processed foods, high sugar consumption, and animal protein, are causing children to develop microbial communities that are high in firmicutes, which then leads those children to have weight gain and the onset of type 2 diabetes. It also explains why some people are have an extremely hard time losing weight. They thought that their problem was a slow metabolism and poor human genes. Well, that's no longer the case. It's their microbial community and how it processes foods that plays the greater role in them being overweight. Which brings us to this statement that I used at the beginning. If you change your gut, you can change the outcome. So if your key is weight loss and weight management and getting fat off your frame, then you've got to change your gut microbiome. If you're having abdominal health issues, you've got to change your gut microbiome. You have to begin to learn how to do this. So I'm going to give you a 4-step program. It's fairly easy. Doesn't mean that, let me put it this way, it's fairly easy to understand. It doesn't mean that it's always easy to implement. And you'll understand why when I think I come to step number 3. But again, this is a 4-step program, and it's designed to improve energy, improve your sense of well-being, and significant fat loss, and do it in a very short period of time. In fact, if you follow this 4-step program, in 30 days, you can see some significant improvements in energy, well-being, and significant fat loss just by following this 4-step program. So here's the first step. Eliminate omega-6 vegetable oils from your diet. That's soybean, canola oil, vegetable oil. And while our food industry and our government have tried to convince us that these omega-6 vegetable oils are safe and heart healthy, they are not. I'm telling you, these vegetable oils, these omega-6 vegetable oils are not healthy. These oils cause inflammation, and they also create the environment that allows your firmicutes to flourish, which then creates toxins that your body has to address. So how does your body address toxins? Well, the easiest way for your body to remove toxins from your system is to store them in fat cells. And so what happens is, as the more that you eat that type of lifestyle, the more that you create these toxins then begin to erode the lining of your small intestine, creating what's called a leaky gut. Those toxins then get into your bloodstream. Your body then reacts to that. You have inflammation, and your body needs to get rid of those toxins. And so the easiest way for your body to do that is to store those toxins in fat cells. So what happens is, if you continue that same type of lifestyle, you continue to create all these toxins. And so more and more toxins are stored in your fat cells, which means that they have to get larger, and you also have to create more fat cells. And so you begin to gain weight and continue to add weight because you keep doing this one step. Now, the step 2 is you need to replace those omega-6 vegetable oils with omega-3 healthy fats like coconut oil, avocados, grass-fed butter, fish rich in omega-3s, grass-fed beef, extra virgin olive oil. So there's a lot of choices that you can use to replace those omega-6 vegetable oils with omega-3 healthy fats. And when used in a weight management study, these healthy anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. So let me give a little more context to that statement that I just said. Healthy anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. So I talked about omega-6 fats being inflammatory. Omega-6 fats turns on inflammation. Omega-3 fats turns off inflammation. So again, you want to try and have an environment in your body that has the least amount of inflammation possible. So these omega-3 fats help to turn off the inflammation, and they create the environment where the healthy gut flora can dominate. That lowers inflammation levels, produces significantly less toxins, and increases the probability of weight loss. Doesn't mean that you'll have weight loss, but it begins this process of resetting gut health to give you a better opportunity to get fat off your frame. So here's step 3. And this is usually the hardest step for all people to do if they're going to be serious about resetting their gut health. Step 3 is eliminate wheat from your diet. This will be the hardest step because wheat's foundational to most processed foods. If you just take the foods that you're currently in your house and you look at the nutritional labeling and you look at the ingredients, I will bet you that you'll find that over 70% of the food that you have in your home has some level of wheat in it. And so why are we targeting wheat? Is because modern day wheat has been genetically engineered so that it now has a higher glycemic index than table sugar. I want to repeat that because most people don't understand it or believe it. Modern day wheat has been genetically engineered. It has a higher glycemic index than table sugar. That means that it enters your system faster than sugar, and modern day wheat causes greater blood glucose than table sugar does. And it's fuel for firmicutes, and it's a toxin producer. And when you add it all up, it significantly increases your potential for weight gain as well as other metabolic problems. If you've never read the book called Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis, I highly recommend that you do. It's a good read. It's very comprehensive. He doesn't get so bogged down in science, but he gives you good science that helps you understand how modern day wheat not just affects weight loss, but affects cognitive function. It affects diabetes. I mean, just a whole host of problems are created by modern day wheat. Just again, I highly recommend that you read this book. It's an eye opener. Now, so what's your alternative? Well, you need to choose gluten-free products. And there's plenty of gluten-free products that are in the marketplace. And those types of products will help you begin this process of getting wheat out of your system. And then the final step of this 4-step process is to limit your sugar intake. Most foods that you eat come packaged. And if you look at the nutritional facts that are on your package, you want to look for the line that says total carbohydrates. And under total carbohydrates, you'll see a line that says sugars. And that's the line that you got to pay attention to. How many sugars are in the products that you're eating? So you look for total carbohydrates, you find the sugar line, you look for how many grams, and here's the equation. 1 teaspoon of sugar is equal to 4 grams. So you'll always see sugars listed on the number of grams of sugar that's in that package. That doesn't compute a lot to people, but if you understand that 4 teaspoons of sugar is equal to 4 grams, then all you do is divide that number by 4. So in this case, I've got 14 grams of sugar. I divide by 4. That's 3.5 teaspoons of sugar. So I always ask people, would you knowingly put 3.5 teaspoons of sugar into what you're eating? Or if I was doing Yoplait yogurt, I remember I was doing a presentation at a large company, and I talked about this, and people were like, oh yeah, right. And so I saw a guy in the back who was eating Yoplait yogurt. So I asked him, is that Yoplait yogurt healthy? He said, yeah. I said, have you ever looked at the number of sugars that are in it? He said, no. Okay, read me the line that says sugar. How many grams? 26. So there's 26 grams in the original Yoplait yogurt, which was what he was eating, thinking it was something that he was healthy that he was doing. If you take that 26 and divide it by 4, that's 6.5 teaspoons of sugar. So I said to him, would you, and that was only a 10-ounce thing of the Yoplait sugar is only 10 ounces. I said to him, would you knowingly put 6.5 teaspoons of sugar in that container and eat it? And he said, no. But see, people don't understand. And so this is really an important part of your process of resetting gut health, because sugars directly feed your firmicutes. Sugars directly create toxins in your system. So you want to be able to reduce that. So you need to limit your sugar intake. And again, understand that sugars, this is a source for the bad bacteria. They also create cravings for highly processed and sugar-laden foods. And when you begin to change your diet to more vegetables and plant-based foods, especially things like pea protein powder, initially it'll take you about 2 to 3 days. But if you begin that process, within 2 to 3 days, you can begin to reduce the craving level where you're not looking for sugars anymore, you're not looking for carbohydrates, and you're beginning to look more for plant-based foods, because now you're feeding the good bacteria, you're giving them the chance to begin to dominate the system, and so they're going to continue to help you influence. You can easily go back the other way, but again, this is a process that if you do this over a 30-day period, you can really see some significant changes in your gut health. So if you want to change the gut, you got to change, you change the gut to change the outcome. And that, again, when we looked at weight management last week on Saturday, we had a video called The New Secret to Weight Loss, which helps people begin to understand this process of changing gut health. Your microbiome is significant to both weight management, your immune system, as well as your overall health. Now, one of the things that I'd want to do, let me get out of today's presentation. one of the things that I want to do is I want to take you to our Synergy Family website. Now, last week, that website got hacked, wasn't available to us. It got restored on Monday. I've been working on the website. When I went this morning to take you, as you can see, the homepage is up for this website. And as I scroll down here, you can see that we have specific marketing strategies. We have one for weight management. And that weight management page also contains all the resource tools that we've created for helping you to understand your microbiome, as well as market the microbiome. Unfortunately, when you click on that, we get a 404. So I've already sent in a help ticket to the hosting company that hosts my website, and I'll just have to wait. They usually take 24 hours to 36 hours to get things back up and operational. I apologize. I wanted to show you a bunch of different things on this website that you could use from a marketing strategy, but it's not available to me. One thing that I can show you that you will find on this page is what we call the Leaky Gut Survey. There is a specific link on that page which gives you, you can't use this URL because this is a URL for a PDF that's on my computer system. If you go on to the weight management page, the PDF that you'll find there is a URL that you can copy and paste. And I bring this up because this is an easy tool to help begin to create interest in having people want to reset their gut health. So here's an example. I'm not a big person on Facebook, but I know there's a lot of people that do use Facebook. And if you maintain a presence on Facebook, and if you begin the process of helping to educate people on different types of health issues, this can be a natural way for you to be able to create interest. And here's how I would do it. I would say, I came across this leaky gut survey. I thought it was pretty interesting because a lot of people have abdominal issues, or as I've learned, your gut influences your weight management and your gut influences your immune system. And part of the problem is what's called a leaky gut. So here's a survey. Take it, and if you checked off 2 or more things and you want more information about how to address a leaky gut, then DM me, direct message me, and I'll be able to send you some additional resources and links. So here's a simple thing that a person can do. There's triggers on the left-hand side, and there's symptoms on the right-hand side. So what are triggers? Triggers are things that you do through consumption or lifestyle that can then trigger something else to happen. So as you can see, dietary protein, use of antibiotics, sugar consumption, low stomach acid. Sometimes people might not understand that. Some people will understand that. Stress, pregnancy, menopause, toxins, poor diet, processed foods, bacterial imbalance, lectins. A lot of people don't understand what lectins are. So we have in smaller type red kidney beans, soybeans, peanuts, tomatoes, white potatoes. A lot of times people don't understand that those food items contain lectins. Lectins cause inflammation within the body. And then alcohol consumption, consumption of wheat products. So a person can go through here and they can check off things that they are currently doing from an eating standpoint or lifestyle standpoint. And then the right-hand side is symptoms like bloating and food allergies and food sensitivities, headaches, joint pain, low energy, fatigue, thyroid conditions, digestive issues, indigestion, acid reflux, diarrhea, constipation, weight gain, mood issues, skin issues. So again, people can check off whether they have symptoms. And the more symptoms that they check off and the more triggers that they check off, the greater the probability that they will have what's called a leaky gut. As Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. So we need to address that issue. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you this, but on this weight management page, not only do you have the Leaky Gut Survey, but there is a 10 sequence video series that's on this page that if a person wanted to get more information on how to address a leaky gut, we created 10 specific videos on helping a person walk through the process of addressing a leaky gut. So that's a resource that you can help people with. We have products from Synergy Worldwide. In fact, let me bring up Synergy's products. Again, on the website that we have for our Synergy family, we go into more depth and detail about these products. But if you go to shop and you go to all packs, the product combination that we suggest, let me get down here to Biome Core Kit. So the Biome Core Kit is the program and kit from Synergy Worldwide that we suggest for not just weight management, but also for resetting gut health. I know that the Synergy system has the Purify kit, and it's an excellent kit for helping to reset gut health. But quite frankly, to me, from a marketing standpoint, from an implementation standpoint, the Biome Core Kit is the easier system to implement and will create results just as fast as what you would see on the Purify kit. And so there's 3 products that make up this system. Unfortunately, this is temporary, out of stock, because the Biome DTX is not available to us at this point in time. As I talked about last Saturday, there are ingredients, Synergy Worldwide through Nature Sunshine does a great job in maintaining their ingredients. But again, everyone's now being affected by supply chain issues. And so there's some ingredients that are sitting in those large boats that are out on the West Coast waiting to dock. So there's stuff that they need for the Biome DTX that they can't get to because they're out at sea waiting to get docked, waiting to get unloaded, and then waiting to get into their facility. So Synergy's working on trying to resolve that issue as quickly as possible. So you have the Biome Shake, which we talked about last week. It's a pea protein shake, ideal in terms of a meal replacement. We talked about giving people what we would call a meal sensation, where they would replace one of their meals with a Biome Shake, but make it the right way so that it's a taste sensation that they want every day. That Biome Shake will begin the process of resetting gut health. The Biome DTX is just a fantastic product for helping to reset gut health. Not only does it provide the ingredients necessary to reduce inflammation, but it has ingredients like ingredients in it that help to allow Bacteroidetes to flourish and keep Firmicutes from flourishing. So again, the ingredients that are in the Biome DTX are designed to, again, help flip your microbiome in the abdominal cavity into the healthy bacteria that you want, that will also support the eating changes that you're making, so that those eating changes are easier to do, you're not having cravings, and you're doing a good job resetting gut health in a fairly short period of time. And then there's the Biome Actives, which uses Bacillus coagulans with a prebiotic called inulin. So a lot of you've got prebiotic and so you're looking at the Bacillus coagulans as a probiotic. There's a lot of probiotic products in the marketplace. Usually they're live, which means that they have to be at high counts because so many of them get destroyed by the stomach acids when you take them, that very little of them actually get into your small intestine to begin recolonizing. So what Synergy Worldwide did is they used what's called Bacillus coagulans. It's a spore. Most times you don't take in spores because spores usually end up causing issues. Bacillus coagulans is different. It's a healthy spore. And as a spore, it's contained so that when you take your biome actives and you swallow it, when it hits the stomach area, the acids of the stomach don't destroy the Bacillus coagulans because it's a spore, kind of like a seed. And so the spore gets into the small intestine where the environment is right for germination. And then they combine that probiotic, Bacillus coagulans, with a prebiotic called inulin. Inulin is not digestible by you, but it's a great food source for your Bacillus coagulant. So now that spore is in your small intestine, the conditions are ripe for that spore to germinate, and you provide it with the food source that it needs so you can get rapid recolonization of the small intestine. So this combination of Biome Shake with Biome Actives with the Biome DTX, usually within 7 days of a person starting this program, they can see some significant improvements in their gut health. That combination is so powerful in helping people to do this. Now, again, if you're going to, when the Biome DTX comes back into play, I usually recommend that you just do one Biome DTX. Some people do two. That could be a little bit overload for a person's system in the beginning. You know, on the first 7 days, I would just do one Biome DTX. I usually mix my Biome DTX in with my shake. Like this morning, I make a shake every day. I do my shake for weight management. I don't need to lose weight. I do my shake for maintaining good gut health. And I put my Biome DTX. I still have, I opened up my last box last week. And so I use my Biome DTX 1 packet per day in my morning shake. So my morning shake gives me the foundation for my day. That morning shake will last me until about 1 o'clock today. I had it around 7:30. I'll go until about 1:30. I'll start to get hungry. I'll eat a light lunch and then go into dinner around 5 o'clock. But that's the program that I use: Biome Shake, Biome DTX, and then the Biome Actives. I have the Biome Actives every day. And again, it's a very simple program, can do a lot in terms of helping people to change their gut health. So with that said, I'd like to show you other stuff, but unfortunately, I am limited in terms of what I can show you today. So do I have any questions from anyone with regards to anything that I've shared with you this morning? You're all on mute. I'm not going to unmute everyone. There'll be too much background noises. But if you have a question, now's the time to unmute yourself and ask me.
Good morning, Dan. This is Dave.
Morning, Dave.
Question. I know that one of the things that we struggle with our client base, and even myself on a personal basis, is getting away from habits that we've formed throughout our whole life. And in the Hispanic community, we do form habits. And one of the staples in meals, of course, is rice and beans and certain meats, and they cook with omega, with vegetable oils. So in approaching the community regarding obviously the concept, the easiest thing is the kit that you mentioned, the Biome Core Kit, which is great. But in terms of diets, what recommendations can I give them or give our community to replace things like red kidney beans that you said are not good, or the processed foods? You know, I know it's a 30-day program, but if I were to recommend something that they take instead of, for example, are there beans that are not, and the language is not clear, but are there beans that are not of a negative value to your gut health? And is there rice that is not of negative value to your gut health? I guess I could start there.
Okay. So David, my suggestion to you would be to take it and make it as simple as possible. So rather than, if you've got a person who's interested in improving their health, the first thing that I would do is I would say, okay, let's do this. We need to replace one of your meals. And I would suggest that you replace it with the Biome Shake so that we can begin to start the process of resetting your gut health. And what's the largest meal that you eat during the day? And I would find out from that person what the largest meal. Typically, for a lot of people, it's going to be their dinner meal. And I would say, okay, keep your breakfast the way you have it. Keep your lunch the way you have it. What we want to do is we want to set you up for success, and we want to replace that dinner meal with the Biome Shake. So when you come home, if you're hungry, don't snack prior to your meal. If you're hungry when you get home, what I want you to do is I want you to make the most delicious Biome Shake that you can make. And again, I let's see if I can figure out a way that I can show you, why I'm talking. Let's see if I can find something that can help.
While you're looking, Dan, when you talk about delicious Biome Shake, does that mean they can add frozen fruits to it?
Yes. Yeah. I would, I do frozen mixed berries, frozen strawberries. I use frozen peaches in my shake. I'm not sure if I'm going to find this, but anyways.
The illustration on the screen, the Biome Core Kit can be mixed with something else that is healthy.
Yes, and so like right now you can't get the Biome Core Kit, so I would focus on the Biome Shake, David. And here's what I'm saying to you. Instead of trying to change the rest of their diet and replace their rice and replace their beans, I would do it by replacing one meal, which then replaces their rice, replaces their beans, replaces, the vegetable oil that they're using in cooking. I would choose the largest meal that they're doing, which is typically their evening meal. And here's the reasons why I would do all that. I would use the Biome Shake. I would use the core recipe, or as I shared last week on the document that we have for the, when you go into this page here on our Synergy family and you click on the weight management, you're going to see a PDF for the Biome Core Kit. That PDF is 27 pages long. It gives you a lot of great information on food things that you can use from a replacement standpoint, but it's more importantly, it's going to give you shake recipes. So there's shake recipes, there's the core recipe, and then there's a page at the end that has other things like the Dreamsicle. The Dreamsicle recipe is just outstanding. If you do the Dreamsicle recipe, most people are going to love that one. But anyways, you want to create a taste sensation on their Biome Shake. And if they come home, instead of snacking and then going into dinner, come home, make your shake. Make the shake the way that I describe in that PDF document. And if they do that, David, a couple things are going to happen. One, they're going to replace the rice and the lectins and the vegetable oils. So they're going to remove all those things that are causing them inflammation and toxins into their system. Secondly, they're going to fuel themselves with the Biome Shake and all the other ingredients that are part of that, and they're going to have good energy in the evening. Instead of eating that meal and then sitting down in a chair and falling asleep in the couch or chair watching TV, they're actually going to have energy in the evening. And so they're going to burn more calories because they have energy. They feel like they want to do things instead of sitting around. And then the second thing is they're not going to be hungry going into bedtime. So they're not going to most likely snack like they typically do going into bedtime. So they won't have those additional calories of their snacking. Their Biome Shake will set them up for success. And then just that one change in their lifestyle, which is a change that they can easily do. And if you make the Biome Shake a taste sensation, it'll be something that they'll look forward to doing when they come home each day, especially with the way it makes them feel. And you'll begin to see your clients physically reshape just by that one change. So it doesn't mean that you have to get them to then eliminate everything that they're doing in their diet and try and change over. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Dan. And then I would then what you're saying makes perfect sense. and especially making it easy to understand, replacing one meal. Is this for a 30-day program, Dan?
Yeah, do it for 30 days and then let's talk. And again, I'm planning to do a presentation in the second quarter called Share the Love.
Yeah.
If you remember, Mark Comer talked about Share the Love.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your funnel system. When you have a new person and you're having them make this shake and make a real meal replacement, you want to follow up with them for the first 7 days.
Yes.
Not to be their mother and say, no, David, you made it wrong, but to say, how did it taste? What did you like about it? How did it make you feel? Having them give you communication. And again, if they're not having success with the shake, tell me specifically, how are you making it? Well, I'd make this suggestion. You haven't added the sun butter. Hey, tomorrow, before you come home, you stop at that health food store that's on your way home. You go in there, you ask them, sun butter, no sugar, but with salt. And you get that and you add it to your shake. And I'm telling you, it's going to make a huge difference in how that shake tastes to you and the amount of energy you're going to have from it. So again, it's making sure in those 7 days that shake that they're making as a meal replacement is, by the end of 7 days, is like, David, I can't wait to get home and have my shake. I just love it. And then once a week for the first 30, one time for the first 7 days, each day for 7 days, and then once a week thereafter till day 30. Then on day 30, David, you can say to them, okay, it's up to you. Look at how you've reshaped. Do you want to go back to your old habits and regain all your weight and be sluggish and see your life go back to how it was and then get even worse? Or do you want to continue this process of feeling great and having energy and having a zest for life again that you didn't have before? And then you let them answer to you. And I'm going to tell you, 9 out of 10 people want to continue to feel like they're feeling great. Then I would suggest that we move forward with that one meal replacement on your evening meal. Does it mean that you have to do it every day? No, if you've got a special event coming up, hey, fine, go do it. Just replace maybe your breakfast with your shake on that day. All right. Now that's an easy change that they can make where they can feel, okay, I'm not stuck in this lifestyle forever because I got some family things coming up. And hey, I want to be able to enjoy my rice and beans and, traditional eating with my family, but I don't want to do that every day. Great. Set yourself up for success. Change your breakfast that day. All right. And that way they stay consistent in making their shake. And then if there's other things that they want to do in their lifestyle where they really want to make a change from the food that they're eating, then you can suggest to them that, hey, there's other things that you can do, like getting wheat out of your system. Let's find an alternative to all that. Instead of white rice, let's go to brown rice. Some changes like that they can begin to make that will help them. But again, from my experience, if you just focus on one change, help them implement that one change, and that one change that will have the greatest impact on what they're eating, your chances for them to experience success is much greater. And by the end of 30 days, they'll want to continue that because they feel so good. They don't want to go back to how they were. And they can see that it's an easy process to continue.
Great information. I probably had another question, but I don't want to monopolize the.
Don't worry about it. Ask your questions.
Okay, one more question, Dan. You mentioned that such an interesting thing about converting the grams to teaspoons of sugar. And that makes perfect sense. And is there a reason why, maybe you can't answer this question, why in the American system which is not grams, it's really metric, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, why aren't the labels printed in a way that's easier to understand rather than grams? Just put teaspoons or put volume.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't answer that question. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's a wonderful educational comment you made, which is good to share with my clients.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of, David, and I don't know if this is true, it's just maybe it's being cynical, is that people don't, the people who make these foods don't want you to know.
Possibly.
So, I mean, because like when I shared with that guy who was in the back row at that event that I was doing, eating the Yoplait yogurt, he thought that was healthy. And right. he would never have equated 26 grams of sugar to 6.5 teaspoons. And so if he equated it to 6.5 teaspoons of sugar, he most likely would not have picked up that product and most likely would not have eaten it. I know no one, even people who put sugar in their coffee. I don't know of anyone that would put 6.5 teaspoons of sugar in their coffee.
Well, that's an excellent way of presenting it to the client when you talk to them, or the conversation say, let's translate the grams to sugar, and would you knowingly just pour that much sugar into the Yoplait yogurt, as you put it? The guy says, "Are you kidding me? I would never put that much." Well, you're basically consuming it. So that's a great point. So appreciate that.
Yeah, my wife used to get a chai from Dunkin' Donuts, and I finally got her to understand that's 56 grams of sugar in that chai, divided by 4. Sherry, do you realize that you've got 14 teaspoons of sugar in what you're drinking?
Wow.
It's like, oh, what an eye opener.
Yeah. Great stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else with any questions before we say goodbye? All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time this morning. Hopefully it was helpful. And I, again, apologize that I can't show you some of the resource tools that we have on our Synergy family, but it'll get corrected. And, Tuesday when I send out the recording for today's presentation, because we do record this, and I'll make sure that there is a direct link to this page for your additional resource tools that are available to you to help you better understand the microbiome as it applies to weight management, as well as resetting gut health. So thank you, everyone. Have a blessed weekend. See you next Saturday.